I'm going to pull up Savant's every move of the offseason tracked rolling article here, and I want to see if we have any real opinions. December 5th, we're recording this on December 6th. The Red Sox traded Verdugo to your New York Yankees for 3 right-handed pitchers. Talk to me about what you think Verdugo's roles and responsibilities will be.
First of all, to keep the grills, the beard, the earrings, everything possible on in in the press conference. I want to see the grill shining
All right.
throughout the
All right.
entire press conference. No, but baseball wise, I think we're pretty much just going to see what we saw from the Red Sox. Uh, League average to somewhat above average hitter, for the most part, which is only going to be amplified by um, a certain dimension at certain parts of Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
which, and I guess continuing that throughout the entire AL East, aside from Baltimore's and left field, one I'm talking about. The only thing that would concern me is where does he play defensively? Because I'm just going to assume that regardless of if the big move, is just what I'm going to call it. If the big move happens, I'm just going to suppose that he's going to be playing one of the corner spots, regardless, because
Right.
center field,
You're
the
of
center
course
field defense.
referring to Adam Duvall signing with the Yankees, correct? That's what you're
Yep,
referring to.
that's
Yep. Mhm.
absolutely what I'm talking about.
That's Cashman's big move. I heard.
Um, no, but yeah, regardless of if the big move happens, I would fully expect him to play the corners because center field defense is bad. I don't expect him to play all the time in the corners. I expect him to play center field sometimes because he is the second best option among players we current among players the Yankees currently have. He is the second best option next to a 6'7", 282-pound beast who was coming off a major toe injury.
Can I ask you,
So,
Peyton? The big move that we're alluding to is obviously a certain Padres outfielder. Okay, let me ask you
Trent
what.
Grisham, there you go.
Which that's my point though, is that I have heard that he will also be involved in the trade. And my question to you is, the Verdugo acquisition befuddles me a little bit, only because is there a world in which on June 1st, and this is a big if because I'm going to say Giancarlo Stanton's healthy. So this is a big if. It's June 1st, everyone is healthy, and you have Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Jason Dominguez, Alex Verdugo, and Trent Grisham all on the roster. I have to imagine it just the Verdugo feels like the odd man out in that scenario. It feels like you would have, 4 of those guys be your 3 outfielders and a DH, and then Grisham is the defensive replacement, can play all 3 outfield spots. Does it not confuse you to that extent that it just seemed much cleaner without the acquisition, unless they plan on flipping him? But I don't know if they will.
The, as far as we know, they're not planning on flipping him, at least not this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to start the season as a Yankee, hopefully with a full beard and a grill in his mouth. Um, Once you get to June, first of all, Dominguez is probably going to be out until at least July with Tommy
Oh,
John.
okay.
Um, so actually no, let's just pretend it's July
I was
because
saying, yeah, July 1st, and my apologies. I was trying to say, what's the world in which Dominguez is healthy? Is it just, are they baking in the fact that they think Stanton will be hurt by the All-Star break? And they're like, well, it won't matter because we'll just have Dominguez come off the IL.
sure, let's go with that. It also
Like, I'm
I
serious though. Like that I just have a hard time believing they'd roster that many outfielders deserving of playing time. I don't know.
so I think once you get to July, you'll have a much clearer vision. Who's either Verdugo will actually be traded by then, or uh, or Grisham will be traded by then. I would prefer for it to be Verdugo, obviously, but aside from that, we're just going to assume that the starting outfield is going to be Soto, Verdugo, or Judge, and then or Verdugo or Judge again to start the season. Now, once Dominguez comes back, um, Dominguez comes back, start him in center field. Over
Right,
Verdugo.
yeah, he's the clear number one option in center
Yeah,
field. Like that's the center. Well, I mean, I know there's reports that eventually he'll have to move to a corner, but when he's in his 20s, that's a guy that can play center field. So yeah,
yeah. So, um, so then it eventually becomes Soto, Dominguez, and Judge. And I'm gonna give a very bold take. You keep on mentioning Stan. It's done. It's done. It's over. He runs.
how though? They're just gonna eat it?
I don't mean done as in he's gonna be out of Yankee uniform. That's I'm convinced he's gonna be here the next 4 years, at least the next 3 years, I should say. I'm saying he's done in the outfield. He's not playing the outfield
Oh, sure, but that's what I
much,
mean
if
though.
at
That
all, ever again.
then you don't get to give Judge a break. You don't
Yeah,
get, you know
yeah,
what I
I
mean?
know, I know, I know. But I think that would also depend on how he ends up performing with the bat because over the last 2 years, really year and a half, because the struggle started in the second half. But over the last year and a half, Stan has also seen a drastic, actually, no, drastic is not the word.
A
And
noticeable. There's a noticeable drop
a
off.
very noticeable drop off in
Yeah.
his offensive abilities. So depending on how that goes, you might just have a $25 billion pinch hitter
DH. Oh wow.
or DH or DH. Sure, let's go with that. But if the downward spiral continues, and again, it's thin. He can hit 450-foot home runs with one arm. It doesn't really matter. But if that offensive decline really spirals, I think you start to get to a point where let's just open up this DH spot, whether he's just sitting on the bench or whether they just say, let's just eat the money, or best case scenario, he accepts the trade to a West Coast team. I and I love the guy so much. I really do. I love the trade. But
If
it
the
just
Yankees
feels
if the
it
Yankees
feels like
eat
it's over.
if the Yankees eat 90% of the money, I say trade him back to the Marlins. I say trade him back to the Marlins. If the Yankees eat like a huge chunk of it, I think that'd be so sick. Like in a year where it's like clearly like he doesn't have it anymore and the Marlins are still like an 84, 85 win team and they're like this will sell some tickets. Like we're bringing him home. Like I would enjoy that. If he's let's say there's a world in which he's at let's take a look at how many career home runs he's on right now.
Well,
Am I
it's
just
it's it's just under over 400.
just
Just
over
over.
400? Okay. Let's say in a year and a half from now, he's sitting at like 480, right? Or not a year and a half, 2 years from now. Or
That's been
470, something like that. Let's say it's 35 homers next couple of years. I don't think that's super unrealistic to say, right? He had a pretty not great year in 2023 and still hit 24 in 101 games, right? Let's say he hits 30, 35. I say trade him back to Miami and let him chase 500 on the Marlins, and then he hangs it up after he gets to 500. Am I just directly borrowing the Pujols story? Sure, but hello, lights turning off. Hello, lights turning back on. I'm borrowing the Pujols storyline for sure a little bit, but I still think it'd be really fun. That home run chases are very fun, and a guy doing it where he got to start his career for a team that could be like actually like competitive for a wild card spot and would maybe need a veteran big bat kind of DH bench guy for not a ton of money. Crazier things have happened is all I'll say.
Yeah, I don't hate it. The only problem is I think they're still paying some of his current contract as
Oh, that's what
well.
I mean. They'd be eating 90% of the money. The Yankees would be eating 90% of that. But I mean, if the Yankees are already going to be owing him a lot of money, it'd be nice to have him not playing on your team and have it be, a little bit more fun. Let's talk about Eric Fetty a little bit. Is a controversial name. If you are a sicko like both of us and are on baseball Twitter, you will know that this man has been the subject of a lot of discourse. I like the signing. I really do. I mean, 2 for 15 in today's day and age for a starting pitcher is nothing. Um, should the White Sox be signing anyone? No. I think the White Sox should be trading players away for prospects, but someone has to be, someone has to be the reason I'm willing to go, make the drive to the South Side and pay for a ticket. So I don't hate it. I think at worst, this guy will crash and burn out after making 20 starts, and you owe him 7.5 mil next year to, pitch in, oh gosh, what's their AAA team? Columbus? Is that them?
Charlotte, Charlotte.
Charlotte. Thank you. I'm like, either he's making 7 mil to play in Charlotte next year, or he's, a SP4, maybe SP5, maybe SP4, and I'll gladly pay 7.5 million for that. The Cardinals are paying 11 for Steven Matz to do probably what they hope to be the same thing. So I don't know. I don't know if you have any strong opinions on it, but that's how I feel.
I'm gonna be entirely honest with you. I have not been up to date with Eric Petty news other than what Matthew Kent says. But
All right. I'll say
but
this: he won. He won the MVP in the Korean League. He had, I think, if you adjust the WAR rate, like the WAR rate, if he put up the exact like a similar comparative line in Major League Baseball, he'd had 6.7 FWAR this year. That's what he put up in Korea. He put up the equivalent of that, which that's pretty good. I know pitcher WAR is a bit finicky, but that's a number that, if it starts with a 6, I don't care what position you play, it's a good baseball player. So that's why I'm under the boat of 2 for 15 is not even close to like the end of the world.
it does feel like one of those deals where a player that was bad in his first day in the majors goes overseas, does what he does, and then comes back and you see what happens. It's the same story with Eric Dames, the same story with much more successful story, Mike Michaelis. Merrill Kelly, there was another name that was just on the mind.
Josh Lindbaum is an example of it not working out, to be fair.
That is fair. But there are quite a few examples of it working. And also, if he's been doing well in Korea, I also could just be stuck in 2018 when I say this, but Korea is a much more potent offensive league.
Peyton, breaking news. I apologize. Shohei. No, I'm joking. I'm kidding. It's not Ohtani. But Craig Kimbrell to the Orioles, 1 for 13. So finish your point about Fetty, and then we'll do Kimbrell next. You say Korea's taken a step forward in the last few years?
Yeah. Last time I checked, Korea was an offensive potent league. I don't know if that's still the case now. But if he was pitching well in Korea under what I believe the circumstances, he should be fine
That's what I mean.
In the States.
If it was 2 for 30, I think I'd have a much bigger. I'd be much more concerned about like, what are we doing, Chicago White Sox? But I'm like 2 for 15. That's nothing. If he can't hack it as a starter, but he's a 3.5 ERA like reliever, I'll pay 7.5 million for that. Like, I just think that the only way this contract is an utter bust is if he tears his UCL in the next 6 months. That's the only way in which I think this contract is a legitimate flop. If he's a average reliever to slightly above average, then great.
Well, let's not put that in here now. Just saying.
We had some breaking news while we were chatting. The news is that Craig Kimbrell will be closing games for the next 11 months, and that is it for the Baltimore Orioles, 1 for 13. I say that not to slander Craig Kimbrell. I say that out of my legitimate love and adoration for Felix Bautista. Get healthy, King. We miss you. This is what the Orioles had to do. Yennier Cano had a really good start to 2023. I mean, it was a borderline historic start. I mean, he was an unbelievable setup, man. I think a lot of people don't realize that he was one of the guys that was in the Jorge Lopez to Minnesota deal.
I think a lot of people realize that.
Okay, well, all right. Just neg me, Peyton. That's fine. I think that was, that was a time in which I think a lot of Orioles fans were like, why did we just trade our all-star closer? What are we doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I normally dislike when front offices get to play the smartest man in the room bit, but the Orioles were the smartest man in the room in that scenario because they said, look, We can have Bautista and Cano. And it was rocking. And then Bautista had that injury, and that was really, really unfortunate. So I know Orioles fans have been clamoring for them to spend money on literally anything, which I think is very fair for a team that won over 100 games. And I think this is the perfect signing to make. That he had Kimbrel is a great meme, but he was legitimately like pretty good last year. Like he was not a bad closer. And I think if the Orioles add if they can add a starter that intrigues me, even like a Frankie Montas or like a Lucas Giolito, just a name that moves the needle for me even a hair, I think I'd call it a successful enough offseason.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they need at this point. Much more than bullpen help, they need rotation help because if you really think about it, this is an Orioles team that won 101,
One?
102, 103, 100 something games
Less than
with
116, but more than 100.
sure. Uh, that won 101 games, let's just say, with Kyle Bradish and
Dean
Kyle
Kremer
Gibson.
and Kyle
Kyle Gibson,
Gibson
Dean.
and Jack Flaherty.
Yeah, that was a rotation, and that won 101 games. So, and granted, run differential will tell you that regression is a little bit in play, but regardless, not regressing enough to be like completely out of it. Anyway, um, team that won 101 games with ghosts in the rotation. That's so starting rotation help is what they need. Really, what they should have done was be in the ground sweepstakes. It wouldn't have helped this year or most of last year, obviously, but
There's a world in
I,
which different training staff, like, I know it's like hard to play like what if on that, but like
it,
it's
it's a
it's it's plausible, You can make the argument maybe.
it's a guy that throws 100 with every pitch. I think you would assume that's
Yeah,
different
that's fair.
training staff. Doesn't really matter. But the point is that they really should have been after a star in the rotation. But Kimbrel does help. The bullpen that is now down to what was supposed to be Yonder Cano as um I would guess the closer unless you want to throw Fujinami into that role, or if you wanted to throw Fujinami into that role, that would have been an interesting closer. Um, that would have been an interesting closer. Um,
Yeah, I mean, he's got talent,
Election,
but
but yeah.
it just
Um,
so let's play opening day. They're gonna get John Means back, right? So that like replaces
but I entirely forgot John Means existed. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
you got Tyler Wells. So the rotation is as of right now for opening day. Bradish is your opening day starter, which I think is fine. Like he's a good
Yeah,
pitcher. Is he a one?
yeah.
Yeah, but like there aren't 31s in Major League Baseball. People I think tend to forget that. Cardinals fans tend to forget that as well. Anyway, Kyle Bradish, John Means, Dean Kremer, Tyler Wells. I
And
either we're forgetting an actual name or I'm being dead serious when I say that they legitimately need to sign a 5 because they lost Kyle Gibson, they lost Jack Flair.
Bruce Zimmerman, there you go. Is Bruce Zimmerman even still in the Orioles?
No,
We can
there's
keep speaking.
no shot. But like let's go to Fangraphs roster resource right now. Like I'm gonna go to roster resource for the Orioles right now, and if live
He he
reaction, if
he
you
is
tell me I look
still
dumb,
he is still on
projected
the
rotation is
Baltimore.
Bradish. Oh, we are forgetting a totally real person, and we completely okay. Tyler Wells is maybe a free agent, number one, or he's moving to the bullpen for sure. Grayson Rodriguez,
Oh, yeah.
that is a real
Okay.
person. So we'll cut all
That's
that. We'll unwind it, and none of that counted. So if it's their opening day rotation, you're gonna have Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez, John Means, Dean Kremer, and roster resource has Cole Irvin listed as the 5. And Cole Irvin stinks. And I will say that on camera without hesitation. He is not a good baseball player. I'm sure he's a wonderful person. I hope he's a wonderful person. It's no disrespect to the man, but he is not he is not the guy that you need to be throwing once every 5 days if you're a team coming off a 100+ win season. He cannot be. Like
On
I
on the
think
flip side, there is no flip side. What was that
I
correct?
think you could sign Giolito. Like you need a guy like honestly, they should have been in on the Lance Lynn signing because the only real knock on Lance Lynn was that he gave up a lot of home runs. And affectionately, that stadium is now getting nicknamed Waltimore. That would have kept a lot of home runs in. Like
That
when I did our the video for what I think the Cardinals should do, the reason I even think about Lance Lynn is I was like, he seems like the perfect guy for the Orioles to sign as the 5. Like veteran bounce back. You need the veteran in the locker room that's been in the big playoff moments because that's really what happened to them. They got kind of big timed by the Rangers in the playoffs. I'm like, that felt like the guy. If you're not going to bring back Kyle Gibson, and now I'm like, who can they get that will fit that mold?
Lance Lynn.
Right. And that's no longer an option. So like now this is where I'm like Giolito, because he's made playoff starts, and his other issue is he gave up a lot of home runs. Like you need a righty that will not give up, or that will directly benefit from the home runs being consumed. And I think Giolito's the answer for them.
I haven't heard much about Giolito this offseason.
I have heard that he's taken some meetings, but like he to me is a guy that could still get like 2 for 24 with like with the ability to make it 3 for 39. He feels like one of those guys. 2-year deal with maybe a mutual option for 15 million for the year 3. Something like that. Like a 3 for 39 if it goes all the way through. That feels like what Giolito could get, in my opinion.
Isn't that bad after being traded? Yes,
He
it was.
was that
Who am
bad
I
after
talking
being
about?
traded. Yeah, he was really
Who am
bad.
I talking about? Yes, it was.
He was horrible. But the stuff that you like when you talk about Lucas Giolito, I mean, first of all, I mean, age matters, right? This is a guy that's still 29. Like he's got pedigree. Um, he still struck out 27% of the batters. He still threw 184 innings. Like this is why I'm like, he's the perfect guy for a team like Baltimore to take a chance on. Because, I mean, I look at his ERA 4.9, but I look at his FIP was a 5.3, but his expected FIP was a 4.5. Like his numbers are kind of all over the place, and I'm like, maybe he would benefit from park. Like his home run fly ball rate was 18%. That is gross. That's really bad. Like his home runs per 9 was 2. That will get knocked down in Baltimore. If it gets knocked down even to the second worst rate of his career, which would be 1.6 in 2017 when he threw 45 innings, he had a 2.4 ERA when he did that. Like this is a guy that if he doesn't give up homers is a good pitcher. So a team that has the ability to provide that for him, literally not even through like just defense alone. I don't even need to talk about the fact that like Adley is like a great catcher as well. That matters.
That team is really good, actually.
Yeah. Like, so I don't know. That's what Baltimore, I think, desperately needs to do to appease their fan base because it wouldn't cost a lot of money. If you were if we ask an Orioles fan, hey, you can have your closer and your rotation get like a pretty decent upgrade, and that's the only two things you do the whole offseason. I think an Orioles fan would say, I'm fine with that, knowing that they're probably just going to trade for bullpen guys at the deadline. Like they're just going to trade Connor Norby for whoever
really a
this.
team? Are they really a team that needs to focus on acquiring bullpen guys? Isn't that a team that can just create bullpen guys on their own?
In theory, I mean, they've done a pretty good job of doing that, but like you could always add more. And there's going to be someone on the Royals that has a 2-4 at the deadline that you could get for your 30th best prospect. And it's like, why would you not do that?
All right, that's fair. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's going to be a guy in their bullpen that has a 5.5 ERA that you can just send down to AAA and then trade for a guy. The A's are going to have a guy that has a 2.8. Maybe not the Rockies, but like, you know what I mean? Like someone on the Pirates will have a 3.1 ERA and they'll be like, we'll take that guy. Thanks. Yeah, that's what I think the Orioles should do. The next move, I'm very excited to talk to you about this because we are both ride or dies for this guy for better or for worse. Jared Kelnick, Marco Gonzalez, Evan White, and Cash to Atlanta for Jackson Kowar and Cole Phillips. I refuse to hop off the Jared Kelnick can be a good Major League Baseball player train. I refuse, and I think that this trade will only help if you look at things like park factor, et cetera, et cetera. I'm very disappointed in the Mariners, is I think my reaction to this trade. I'm very disappointed in their ownership. I understand that the Gonzalez contract isn't great.
Can I stop you? Can I stop you right there? Can I stop you right there?
Yeah,
Only
go
this
ahead.
trade is making you disappointed. Only this trade.
The Paul Sewald trade, Matt Brash is a stud. I understand it. You don't want to pay a closer. Valid.
I was
I can.
I was I was not talking about policy wall. I was talking about
The Suarez
everything else.
trade.
Everything else that has happened
The Suarez
since
trade.
he's
I'm not a
been limited.
believer in that dude. And Suarez is coming off not a great year. Like he's not objectively. I mean, I know he hit homers, but this is the only trade where I've legitimately been like, we're that desperate to salary dump. Like, I like Ryan Bliss. I think Ryan Bliss is actually a very good player that they got in the Eugenio Suarez deal. And if the plan was we don't want to pay Paul Sewald, we have Matt Brash. The other two were justified. This one to me is it stinks of like you're not going to get better from this, or like there isn't a clear replacement plan.
That's so I wasn't necessarily just talking about individual trades in itself. I was just talking about what has happened to the Mariners since they've been eliminated, from the comments from Soto,
Yes.
from the Cal Raleigh situation, from literally everything just makes you feel like
you're talking about the
Mariners are going.
54. You're like the 54% comment is what you're referring to. Yes.
And it seems
Fair.
like regardless of how you feel about Eugenio, it feels like everything they've done this offseason has been leading to that 54% comment, if we're being real. Because if we're being honest, they could be in position to acquire a Soto, acquire an Otani. It feels like they have been in position to do that. And yet it feels like this offseason is going to be, let's salary dump Suarez, let's salary dump Kelnick. And you're presuming it's for a big move. That's what we're presuming. Whether that's Randy Arozarena or whatever the case may be. But it also feels like it's just going to be Randy Arozarena and then Joey Votto retirement season. That's what this offseason feels like for the Mariners.
Joey Votto to play first for them. I wouldn't actually hate that. I mean, yeah, that move would not placate the fan base in Seattle. But I'll say this. When that Kelnick trade happened, as a Cardinals fan, my brain immediately went, oh, are they going to trade for, after this Eugenio Suarez trade as well? I'm like, oh, are they going to trade for Nolan Gorman and Tyler O'Neill? That's what my brain immediately thought. Like, that would make perfect sense. Like, Nolan Gorman, Tyler O'Neill, and a couple prospects for, like, Logan Gilbert. I immediately was like, oh, that would make perfect sense because that would replace the guy in left. That would give them a third baseman. You have Ryan Bliss play second. You got J.P. Crawford at shortstop, Cal Raleigh at catcher, Julio in center. I'm like, all you'd have to really figure out is first base and right field. And I'm like, if you're the Mariners, without adding a ton of salary, that could have been Joey Votto and Adam Duvall. You know what I mean? I thought that they were going to make a trade like that with the Cardinals and then sign a couple, good hitter, team leader type veterans to play first and DH with Ty France and then someone to play right field. And I was like, oh, that would make perfect sense to me.
Ty France is a free agent, I think.
No, he's under contract still. He's under ARB. Is he not? They didn't let him walk, did they? Yeah, he's still in the Mariners. He's still in the Mariners.
Okay.
But I'm like, you're hoping he bounces back or like maybe he just becomes a bench guy. But yeah, like I'd ask you, Peyton, would that not make sense? If the Mariners lineup in my head, I'm like, I kind of headcanoned it, but I'm like, you know what? If I'm a Mariners fan and the opening day lineup, you had Cal Raleigh, Joey Votto, Ryan Bliss, Nolan Gorman, J.P. Crawford, Tyler O'Neill, Julio Rodriguez, Adam Duvall. That's a good lineup. That's a very good lineup. Like you got good defense. You got a great defensive outfield. You got good defensive shortstop. Cal Raleigh's great. I'm like, it all really added up to me. And then, like you said, DePoto came out and was like, yeah, we're probably less likely to trade away a starter now. And I was like, oh, so the only thing that would make sense after this, you're not going to do? What? So, yeah, I don't know. Are they just going to sign Bellinger and he's going to play right field? Like, because if they sign Bellinger, you know what they still need? A left fielder and a third baseman. Like, they need to trade. They need to trade for someone. And like it's the Orioles and the Cardinals are, I think, the only teams that have the like young controllable assets at those positions to like for both of them to make that
Now,
happen.
now I'm assuming that you're saying that they should trade a starter for those holes because they have a lot of starting pitching prospects just waiting.
They have Brian Wu, Bryce Miller. People forget Robbie Ray missed the entire year. He is coming back. They have Luis Castillo. They have options at starter. They have options. Like guys, I'm not gonna say expendable because they're good players. But like if you look at the Mariners like 40-man roster, I'll pull it up right now. There are a lot of guys that I think could make, you got George Kirby, Emerson Hancock will be back and be healthy next year. Like there are a lot of guys. There are a lot of guys. Like, do you mean to tell me that they could, if that lineup I gave earlier, right? Let's say this was their rotation. Castillo, Ray, Brash, Miller, and Wu.
You're assuming that Brash
Or excuse me, Kirby, and then Brash
Oh,
is still the closer. My apologies. I meant George
okay.
Kirby, not Matt Brash. So the rotation could be Castillo, Ray, Kirby, Miller, Wu. With that lineup I gave you. And with that lineup I gave you, the amount of money they've traded away and the amount of money they would spend in free agency would offset. So you'd probably run about the same payroll. I think that's a better lineup. I think it's a better lineup, and the rotation is maybe marginally worse, but like at the expense of being much better defensively and having a better lineup.
I'm sorry, I was reading something from Brian. Yeah, I agree. That's a much better line. But you're also just expecting the Mariners organization to do I don't want to say
It's a
smart
big
thing.
swing. It's a big swing, but I'm asking them to spend the exact same amount of money that they spent last year. That's what I'm asking Seattle to do. And if that is too much, then they're not serious about winning. That's what it is. If you're not serious about it, the Cardinals had their first truly awful season in 30 years, and I got on my soapbox and said, okay, go spend $60 million in pitching then. Like, put up or shut up. What have they done so far? They spent $45 million on pitching. And they're going to sign a reliever as well. And if that's so, they're going to spend probably about $55 million on pitching. Show me, like, I'm not even a Mariners fan, but I'm like, show me you're serious about winning. You need to spend like $150 million minimum to be considered a playoff caliber team. And you probably need to push it to 200 to contend for a World Series, legitimately.
I get it. It just straight up feels like it's not.
I agree. I think what I laid out to you is a very realistic.
Although I straight up felt like it wasn't going to happen with the team I actually root for a living, and I'm sitting here on Twitter just watching
Refreshing
the
incessantly.
play-by-play, watching literally John Heyman play-by-play because it's literally the same 5 tweets every single hour, but play-by-play this entire trade happened.
On the 1 yard line, you're saying, Peyton?
let's relax. Let's be relaxed.
But yeah, like I said, it's like I said, the offseason plan I just laid out to you is like trading Logan Gilbert to the Cardinals for Gorman O'Neill and like a couple like of our pitching and a couple more like top 10 prospects. That answers 2 spots in the lineup. You go out and you sign a Duvall guy to play right field. What's he going to cost? 1 year, $8 million? Like 1
Maybe a
year,
little
10
more.
million?
Yeah.
Like Votto, same thing. Like that. That's the reality. You can spend probably $15 to $20 million, which they've taken away $25 million, and make one trade, and you can answer first base, right field, left field, third base, and not really have a huge drop off in the rotation. That's it.
Absolutely.
That's what you have to do. And the thing is, I know this isn't on Jerry, because Jerry makes a bajillion trades.
That's fair.
I literally saw a tweet after the Kelnick trade. I want to make sure I get this verbatim. And I'm going to even give the @ of the person that said this because it was that funny. And I do not want this passed off as my own joke. At J. Hay Kid said, Jerry DiPoto was so excited to make a trade, he forgot to acquire the players after the Kelnick trade. Like that's the kind of owner they have in Seattle. Like DiPoto works great for them because it's a ownership group that is a little frugal is the nice word I love to use so we don't get in trouble with the algorithm. And so it has to be done. A trade, and yes, is it ironic that the Cardinals fan gets to sit here and be like, "Oh, you guess you have to trade us Logan Gilbert"? Like I'm not dumb. Like I understand that's a big ask, right? Like I'm not an idiot. But like at the end of the day, it's like, well, are you going to sign Matt Chapman? No, you're not. Like you're not at all. You've clearly shown you're not in a position to add even $30 million in payroll. You can add about 20 and that's it. So you'd need to trade for a guy that's pre-arb and another guy that is in arb right now and then sign some vets and that's it. That's it. And I think if you're Seattle, if you're going to tell fans and if and the contract you gave Julio and the contract you gave Castillo and the contract you gave Ray, you can't trade with Baltimore on this. You can't trade for guys that are doing a really good job at AAA right now and they're 24. No, you need the guy that's 24 that's played 2 professional Major League Baseball seasons and has been a plus hitter in both of them. That's the big acquisition you need to get back. Not a guy that hasn't played significant time in Major League Baseball.
I suppose that guy that you're talking about, well, actually, no, I know exactly. You've been talking about him all day. What I'm talking about, Nolan Gorman.
Yeah, it's Gorman. It can't be Connor Norby. It can't be, it's not that they're bad players, but it's just, the Orioles aren't trading Jackson Holiday. So like, you know what I mean? Like they're not trading Gunnar. They're not going to, you know what I mean? There's no guy like that they can, offer. And I think when you look at other teams prepared to do it, no one should trust Tampa ever for anything. Isaac Paredes, I want everyone to go on Baseball Savant and look at those blue circles. And I understand it's not the only thing you should look at, but I'm like, the Rays have a Mickey Mouse, very short fence in their left field corner, and they have taught Isaac Paredes to just hit an absolute line drive down the line. And that's why he hit 30 homers. If that guy goes to Seattle, he will OPS 680. Straight up. He will. I'm being serious. It's the single worst ballpark to hit in for right-handed hitters in all of baseball. There is not one worse for park factor. You cannot acquire a guy who has specialized in taking advantage of his home park. That will never work. That will never, ever work.
I'm trying to think of that. I feel like there's got to be another stadium.
There isn't. Like, it's statistics. That's not an opinion by me. That's through scientific research. For right-handed hitters, the worst park to hit in is Safeco. There is not one worse.
Oh, you meant worst park. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Mariners. Yeah, Safeco is, or T-Mobile.
Baltimore?
Whatever. That's for home runs, not for hitting in general. Okay, think about how big the wall is, all the doubles and stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's the worst. So, just something to chew on at Mariners. Trade me Logan Gilbert. You guys can have Zach Thompson or Steven Matz. He's so good. He's really good. I'll defend Steven Matz at a later time. He just needs to stay healthy. He's not a bad worst starter on your team. Moving on. We need to move on. We spent a lot of time on this. I forgot the Reds signed Nick Martinez and Emilio Pagan. Now,
when?
To quote a New York legend, about a week ago.
Oh, God.
Can you guys tell both the people recording this are in their 20s? TikTok audience? Sorry. You guys can Google that one on your own time. Where did his hat go, Peyton? Where did
I'm
his hat go? Um, Jesus Christ. All right. Anyway, um, do you want the unbiased? This is a rare moment in which I'm going to talk about the Reds, and the unbiased baseball observer and the hater in me have the exact same opinion. Which is, if I were the Reds and Nick, I would not sign a guy that gives up a lot of fly balls like Nick Martinez does. That's a bad signing.
yeah, unless it's the superstar pitcher and Nick Martinez, former legend, as evidence from the latest TikTok, is not a star pitcher.
Right. And even then, like Hunter Green has star potential. You go look at his numbers. I mean, this year he had like a 4.8, but he had a 4.4 FIP, and then the year before he had a 4.4 with like a 4 FIP. Like he can throw really. He gets a lot of strikeouts, but he gives up fly balls, and because he plays in that stadium, like if you put Hunter Green in even like Wrigley, I bet you his ERA is a half a run lower, and they even have the basket and stuff.
Not not necessarily, because wind also plays a factor.
Yeah, Wrigley might be a bad example. Put him in, I don't know, guaranteed rate. I'll just go put him on another Midwest team.
It, what's it
I'd
called?
say I'd say put him. I'd
Oracle. Put him in
sure, yeah,
Oracle.
yeah. I'd say put him on the Brewers, but they'd make him like a 1.5 ERA pitcher because it's the Brewers. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't a good faith example because I'm like they'd turn that dude into the next DeGrom. Yeah, I don't know. I was actually having this conversation last night with some friends about like I don't think the Reds are a good team. They're not good. They're interesting and they have a good top half of the lineup. But if you go through and you look at their lineup, do we really think TJ Friedel's going to be a 4.5 WAR player again at age 29? I don't. I don't think so at all.
Off defense alone, maybe, but no.
He's a 2.5 WAR player because his defense is good and he will regress to like a 100 WRC plus. That is, you know what I'm saying?
Which isn't terrible, by the
No,
way.
that's a decent player, but that's not a 4.5 is an all-star. If you're a 4.5 WAR player for 12 years, you like start to have a Hall of Fame argument. You know what I'm saying? That's a 60 WAR player if you put that up for a dozen years. Math. We'll pretend that was right. Whatever.
Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah. Well, now I have to figure it out. Hold on.
You said 12 times 4.5.
4.5 times 12 is 54. Yeah, it starts to become a conversation if you're at 54 WAR. That's like Chase Utley, right? That there's a conversation. Anyway.
Although Chase Utley has 60, about 65.
Oh, I thought it was 55. My bad. Anyway, let's talk about this Reds lineup. I look at this Reds lineup and like I was looking at their Fangraphs, the projected lineup on Roster Resource, and they got TJ Friedel leading off. I'm just like, I'm like, there's red flag number one. They have half a good starting pitcher. Like Hunter Green has shown flashes. He's got big stuff, but it's about staying healthy, staying consistent with velo, and keeping the homers down. And he's young, and there's still time to figure that out. But right now, like I don't look at him as a true ace yet. Their bullpen, Alexis Diaz was not good in the second half of the season. I mean, is he a good closer? Yes. I don't think he's a top 10 closer in baseball, and the rest of their bullpen's terrible. And I look at their lineup, I think they have 4 or 5 good hitters. I think the bottom half of their lineup is not good. And I think that in order for them to even repeat the win total that they had, they're going to need a massive step forward from probably a couple guys in the rotation. And they're also going to need Ellie De La Cruz to become like a 120 WRC plus bat. And I don't think he's, from a development standpoint, I don't think he's there yet. I think he can be a 110 WRC plus. I think it can be like Bobby Witt was in 2022. Bobby Witt was like a 100 WRC plus. He's hit 25 homers. He stole over 30 bases. He showed some flashes. Like that's where I think Ellie De La Cruz is going to be at next year.
Really, just about putting the ball in the air for Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah.
Fine. If you really think about it, maybe that ends up being really a hitter somewhere down the line. Well, obviously, it'll be really a hitter at some point if he starts putting the ball in the air and actually walking a little bit more. But anyway, that's not the point. Before that, though, yeah, the rotation needs work. The bullpen needs work. I'm not going to go as far as you and say that they're
They're interesting.
I don't know. I don't know if
They're competitive. Good
I
to
was about to
me.
say. I
Good
don't
to
know.
me is like, can they win 88 games? No.
Okay, yeah, then that's the case. No.
They're interesting, they're competitive, they're feisty, but also all these young guys people like to talk about, oh, this Reds young core, they're all 25, 26. Like they're not 22. These guys are like in their prime right now. That's a concern.
You would say prime is 25?
25 through 25, 26, 27, 28 is a dude's prime, in my opinion.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. If that's the case, then yeah, they're all in the prime. Um, but yeah, if you're really gonna take it seriously, rotation needs work, bullpen needs work. Are the Reds gonna do it this year off season? Probably not.
Like
So,
Pagan's a good step for the bullpen, right? But like I just like Nick Martinez is like the guy that I have the second most amount of confidence in their starting rotation.
which isn't great.
Oh. And again, the hater cap is on, but I'll be honest, the unbiased fan cap is also on right now. Straight up. Like they're interesting. I think they're going to win a similar number of games that they did last year. If you told me at the end of next year that the Reds went 80 and 82, I'd be like, yeah. I also don't want to underestimate the fact that like who's the veteran in that locker room? Like Votto's gone. Like that's going to have an impact. I really think it's going to. Like, was it TJ Friedel is like the most seasoned dude in that lineup?
Is it not Emilio Pagan?
Yeah.
Which isn't great, but is it not Emilio Pagan? No,
Well,
it's not.
Pagan's a
He debuted
reliever,
in
is
like
my point.
2018.
Like, yeah, like he's a reliever. I'm talking in the hitting lineup. You know what I mean? It's a tie game. You know, it's September. They're fighting to stay in the wild card race. You know, those guys haven't been there before. You know what I mean? And I know that that's like not something empirical to talk
What
about. Like
was
that's
wait. Were they not in the wild card race last year?
they were, but they had Joey Votto on the roster. That's what I'm
Okay, fair
saying.
enough.
They had a guy to keep them together and keep them in that. And it's like, who's going to step up? I don't know who's going to step up for them. Like Ellie De La Cruz is going to be the face of your franchise, but when he's 5 years younger than everybody else in the lineup, and the sixth best hitter in the lineup, kind of hard for him to be the one that like does the like, hey, get your shit together. He can't be that guy yet. He's 20, and it's like, don't you have a 97 WRC plus right now? Like, stop talking to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's he gonna say to Matt McClain when it's like, isn't that crazy how I took your job? Like, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know why this is funny.
it's funny because like that's what Matt McClain would have every right to say it. Hey, isn't my OPS 150 points higher than yours? Stop talking. Like he can just say that to him. Like, oh hey, come on, you know, we got to rally. We're down a run. And, like I know, like that could just happen. Like those dudes are, you know, it's a bunch of guys our age. Like they need to have that veteran presence. And I don't know where they're going to get it. Unless they sign, I don't know. Who's a guy that is a free agent like pitcher right now that doesn't give up a lot of homers? That's like not great. Oh, Jack Flaherty?
Never
Like,
mind.
I don't even know if
Yeah.
that's even the right answer to give. But like, is that a, you know, like, is he ready to be a team leader after he's about to be on his third team in a calendar year? Like that weighs on guys. Like there's all these considerations that I just think from a synergy standpoint, they've not thought through.
I have to look this up because I swear they have at least one veteran in the
There's no one in
on
their
the
starting projected in their starting lineup that's over the age of 28. I'm pretty sure. Or TJ Friedel is about to be 29.
Jesus Christ, people start late. Uh,
Ages of their starting lineup 27, 26, 22, 22, 27, 24, 26, 24, 28.
who's the other 22?
Ellie De La Cruz, 21.9.
No, there's a second 22-year-old.
Yeah, Marte.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
Yeah,
dude, you
yeah.
go to their bench. It's Luke Maley is their backup catcher. He's 33. But then the other guys that are projected, Jose Barreo's 27. Stuart Fairchild is 28. Jake Fraley is 29. Like it. Jake Fraley and TJ Friedel are these guys veterans hitters in the clubhouse right now. That shit's not happening. Like it's not. You can't do that, bro. I'm sorry, you can't.
You sure it's true? Well, there's no, he's a free agent now. I think I'm back.
And then yeah, look, you go to the rotation. 24, 26, 25. Nick Martinez is 33 and then 26. Like it's all these dudes that are I don't know. I mean, and maybe the trade deadline will give them somebody, but like TLDR, they shouldn't have gotten rid of Joey Votto. And if this is because Joey Votto's head is too big for him and he thinks he can actually like deserve to get 600 plate appearances next year, then that's on him. Because like you're not. He's not getting 600 plate appearances anywhere. They just need to re-sign him. So maybe the Reds are just going to let him wait it out and then they'll sign him. But I don't know, dude.
No, it doesn't sound like it's over.
I don't know.
It feels like it's over for the Reds.
I know. And it's like, whose fault is it? I need to know whose fault it is. Because if it's the Reds, then that's on them being stupid. And if it's on Votto, then it's on him being stupid. Someone is being dumb in that party. And we're probably never going to know who it was.
All right, time for my Twitter check.
Is it at the half-yard line?
Oh. Huh?
Half-yard line now? Quarter? The 1-inch line? Where are we at with this? I saw medicals like an hour ago. I'm like, who is holding this up?
Michael King. No, I'm kidding. Actually, no, probably.
You know what sucks is I traded Michael King in my fantasy dynasty league at the start of the year for like Mark Canha because I told the guy that I was trading, I was like, I think Michael King's really good. I think he could become the Yankees closer if like Clay Holmes like stumbles or falters. And I was a contending team. And I'm like, I just need a veteran outfielder that'll OPS like 760, which is exactly what Mark Canha did. Like I got exactly what I needed. However, I did not know that Michael King was going to be like, hey, we're going to put you in the rotation. You're going to have like 14 Ks in 5 innings. Like I wouldn't have traded him if I knew he was that good. Like I thought he was just like going to be a potential closer guy. And I'm like, I'm fine trading a guy that like his ceiling is a closer for a veteran outfielder. I did not know that he had that in him. So I'm a Michael King fan because of it. I love the talent, but
to be entirely real with you, I don't think anyone did.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, obviously the guy that I traded with was like, he's like, yeah, I need closers. He was not pulling the wool over my eyes to be like, yeah, I'm going to get, I'm getting elite K9. I'm sacrificing quality starts to get some elite K9 out of Mark Canha. Anyway.
No, I definitely did. That's exactly why he pulled the trigger. He knew.
Yeah. If that clip gets posted, I'll definitely send that to him. The next move we have on this list is my St. Louis Cardinals signing Sonny Gray. Again, if he is the number 2 on the opening day roster, I'll be a happy clam. If he's the number 1, he better be the number 2 by the trade deadline. That's really all I have to say about that. That's it. There are so many guys right now we could trade for. If we want to go all out and really break the bank, we could trade for Dylan Cease. If we want to pay a little bit, or Logan Gilbert. If we want to pay a moderate amount, we could trade for Tyler Glasnow. If we want to trade not that much, we could trade for Shane Bieber. All of these things. And I understand that Sonny Gray was objectively better than Shane Bieber and things like that. But Sonny Gray has pitched, I believe, 11 Major League Baseball seasons, and he has made 30-plus starts in 4 of them. That is a concern when the entire point of the offseason is we need guys that can cover innings. Trading for a guy that does not have a clean bill of health on his record concerns me.
Can I ask another question regarding that?
You absolutely can.
When were those 4 seasons? I know at least one of them was
this past season, yes.
Well, yeah, that, and another one was 2015, I would believe.
The seasons in which Sonny Gray has made at least 30 Major League starts are 2014, 2015, 2019, and 2023. Is it cheating a little bit because he was fully healthy in 2020? Yes. However, I'm not arguing full season. My argument is, can he throw 180 innings? So that is why I am saying what I'm saying there. 2022, he only threw 120 innings. 2021, only 135 innings. 2018, only threw 130 innings.
By
2000 and
circumstance. By circumstance.
sure, but regardless,
He was living like Larry in 2018. Don't blame him for that.
yeah, I was gonna say he was actually good for you guys in 2017. 372. You take that. You take that. You didn't give up anybody a real. So anyway, the point being is that you need someone else that is capable of eating innings and being that guy. And, like Dylan Cease is the answer for that. Logan Gilbert is the answer for that. I do not care what the price is. I do not care. Paul Goldschmidt is a free agent at the end of the year.
Given that you said Nolan Gorman like 5 times, I think we understand.
He's out. He can be gone. I don't dislike the player, but he strikes out over 30% of the time, and he's streaky. And you know what I like better than that? A second baseman that will cost less money when he hits free agency, that plays elite defense and walks an insane amount. I'm, of course, talking about Brendan Donovan. I will trade 15 less home runs for a guy that gets on base 6% more of the time. I'm taking that trade. I'm taking it every single time. Also, this is an excuse to give this fun fact. Brendan Donovan hit 11 home runs last year. 10 of those were either go-ahead or game-tying home runs. That does it. That you can't. Okay. That's just like a fun. That's just like a fun. That's a big moment guy. I like that. You know what I'm saying? You like a big moment guy. Next we have the Tigers. Kenta Maeda, 2 for 24. I like this a lot. And if they can sign like Imanaga as well, I think they have I've sipped the Tigers Kool-Aid for like 3 years straight now, but I'm like, this is a team that I think can be like Reds good. That is my assessment of where this team can be at.
I'm assuming you mean Reds good from like last year.
Yeah, like it's 80 wins, 82 wins, is in the playoff hunt, plays competitive baseball in September. Like, that is where I can see this team. If they add the guy like Imanaga especially.
It does feel like there's a lot riding on that. Number one, Riley Green, is that real? Number two,
I think it's real. It's just he needs to stay healthy.
Number two, Torkelson.
Is that real? Is that real? Is I think a better question with Torque.
Okay, interesting.
Because Riley Green at the end of the day is still gonna get on base and play plus defense. The question is how good of a hitter can he become? The Torkelson question is he needs to hit at that elite clip to be that viable. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean. The is that real question for me is a lot more difficult with Torkelson.
It does feel like whatever. It does feel like that. It does feel like it's riding on a lot. These lights have never turned off this much in their lives. Anyway,
because you're so at peace talking baseball
like,
with me. You're very zen. You're not moving. You're at peace talking baseball with me. So you're.
Anyway, it does feel like the Tigers just rides on a lot of stuff. No, it can Kenta Maeda be a reliable 2. Is that maybe too much for his age and his current skill set?
Maybe, but I think he could be a 3.
It also depends on what they do. Do they sign Imanaga? Do they make a bigger splash? Maybe. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. Maybe.
Sources?
It does feel like
Peyton journalism era? Sources? Is that
no?
No, but seriously though, if they sign Imanaga and it's Scooble, Imanaga, Maeda, 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
that's a rotation.
Now
That
you
is
say that a
a
lot. That's nice.
that is a good like that would be a play. That's a play. That would be their hypothetical playoff rotation. I'm like that moves me.
And
That
also,
moves.
when did Mice get surgery?
He should be back like second half. They got Matt Manning. Like they got dudes, man. Like Reese Olson is a guy their GM really likes. Like they have a lot of guys that are like pretty intriguing. I think their outfield rotation, by the way, of Mark Canna, Parker Meadows, Riley Green, that is a good outfield. And then you rotate in a guy like, oh my gosh, who did they trade for from Philly?
Whatever,
Okay,
whatever you
Matt
just said,
Vierling,
I
and
don't
then who
know.
else? I'm talking about the Tigers like lineup. There's a guy they got. He's pretty much a DH only, but he was mashing. Kerry Carpenter. That's who I was thinking of.
Whatever you just said, I don't know. I don't know what you
Wait,
said, but yeah,
can you
Kerry
hear me now?
Carpenter.
Oh yeah, now we're good.
Isn't from what I know, Kerry Carpenter is basically a DH
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he'll
only
DH.
type player.
Yeah. And you got Matt Vierling at third. Baez, if he's that good on defense and is even like has a pulse
Yeah,
on offense,
you'll be fine.
you'll be fine. Second base, they're probably gonna have their top prospect, Colt Keith, and that dude can mash. You got Torkelson, and then their catching tandem wasn't bad either. Like, I don't know. Granted, I hear a lot about the Tigers because, you had a good personal friend that roots for the Tigers and gets to talk about it. You get to hear a lot about it, but
I,
they got
I
pieces I
don't know. I
like.
just feel like there's still one more move that needs to be made.
Yeah, but to me though, they're an Imanaga away from being a pretty damn competitive team, as opposed to being like, it's not like,
What they
oh,
were
if
the
they
last 3 years, two
yeah,
years.
it's like, oh, if you sign Otani, they're competitive. You know what I'm saying? Like if Otani signs with the Reds, I'll call them a good team, but that's not happening. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I mean. They're a reasonable move away from being like very interesting. They're interesting now. They'll be very interesting. Reasonable move away from going from interesting to very interesting. And I think that's a good spot to be in.
Now, if Otani signed with the Brewers, would you call them a good team?
No, I would not. Dude, they're going to trade Corbin Burns. All right. They are about to start a rebuild. I'm dead serious. They're about to start a rebuild. They are. They're going to pay.
I know.
They're going to pay Peralta because he's the worst and the cheapest. They're going to trade Corbin Burns. They gave Churio the borderline Ozzy Albies contract. They gave him the poverty, we're going to work you to death in your 20s contract. Ozzy Albies should fire his agent.
Sorry, Boston call.
No, you're good.
He just said I could.
Oh, gotcha.
Sitting here. Anyway,
but no, seriously, Brewers are about to rebuild. That's a separate talking point, though. But like, they're done, dude. They are done. They made Corbin Burns miss Valentine's Day with his wife to tell him that they were the reason they missed the playoffs in 2022 in his arbitration hearing. Like, if you think that he is staying there, you're out of your mind. He's gone. Devin Williams is going to be on the Phillies in 18 months because
I thought it was a Cardinal WAP to that.
We'll sign him in free agency. Come home, King. Devin Williams, if you see this, Devin, save me. That meme on Twitter right now where it's like, save me, Devin Williams. Devin Williams, please save me. Save me, Devin Williams. Come home. I love you so much, Devin Williams. I think you're a wonderful person. I think that you are a wonderful baseball player. And I will buy your jersey if you are a Cardinal. I will put that on. I'll put that on camera. You're that good.
But by the way, there is a note on who would be in the trade if the trade happens.
It's Grisham.
It says King, Thorpe, Drew Thorpe, Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez, and Kyle Higashioka. If Kyle Higashioka is holding this up, I'm going to fight someone.
Do you think he has a no trade clause? That dreaded Kyle Higashioka no trade clause. Granted, it's to San Diego, but that'd be so good, dude. the myth of consent. I consent. I consent. Is there someone you forgot to ask? All right. Next move. Oh, is Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson? One of these guys will have a sub-4 ERA and throw 180 innings for us. The other guy will be replaced at the trade deadline. That is my take. As to who it is, spin the roulette wheel. It doesn't matter. One of them will be good. One of them will be terrible. Neither will get their team option picked up for 2025. Because Takoya Roby will be ready, or we will sign somebody else, or Graceffo, or, or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Now, if you want to look on the full bright side, the trivia question answer for who is still on the Cardinals from the 2011 team, there's your answer.
We still have
The
somebody,
entire
baby.
season.
We still have someone. We have had someone that is a true answer for every single year since the last time the Cardinals won the World Series. And now, technically, with Yachty as a AGM, well, special assistant to the AGM. Let me relax there. Getting ahead of myself. Just kidding. They're going to fire Ali Marmol in 2 years, and then Yadier Molina is going to take his job.
You think it takes 2 years?
Yes. The Cardinals, you know my honest prediction? I'll put it on camera. The St. Louis Cardinals will have a winning record in 2024, make the playoffs, and then lose in the first round. In 2025, they will win the division, win one playoff series, lose in the DS, and they will mutually part ways with Ollie. His contract is up at the end of 2024, by the way. So I think they're going to make the playoffs but lose in the first round, and then they will give him a 1-year extension as like you did what was required of you to keep your job. And then for 2025, we're going to go like 94-68 and then lose in the DS in like 5, and he'll get fired. And Yadier Molina will take his job. And this is not just me as a fan wanting that to happen. Yadier Molina explicitly, part of the reason that he did not want to be just the bench coach or have that duty, part of it was family stuff, but the other part of it was he's like, I want to be a manager. Like, that is my end goal. That's my next phase of my career. I want to prep to be a manager. So I think he's going to hang around the Cardinals for a few years, and then when they have the opportunity to fire him, Molina will say, I will take that job. Yes.
I would believe it, but I don't think you can call it firing. It's we let his contract expire.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
yes,
really
it'll be a mutual parting of ways, because his contract is up at the end of this year. He will do just enough to keep it. They'll extend him for 1 year. He'll get a 1-year extension, and then no playoff run again. Sorry.
Now, do you think he'll do enough to be able to get another job elsewhere?
Yes, because in 2 years, his managerial resume will be 4 seasons as a manager with 3 playoff trips. Someone is hiring that guy. Like, the Giants are going to hire him.
But if we're talking about a manager being a clubhouse guy, we also have what happened at the beginning of this year. So
that's
maybe
fair.
they look at that as well.
That is fair. Although I have a hard time buying Yadier Molina. Well, I don't think he's a rule by fear kind of guy, but I have a hard time imagining Yachty's a big, like, yuck it up with like a 20-year-old kind of dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Yadier Molina as a manager, he would vibe very well with like Kyle Gibson and like Lance Lynn and like Goldschmidt.
I don't think they really care with future Hall of Famer, lifelong Cardinal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're not gonna get. Yeah, he's gonna be. He'll have that like built-in respect factor that I think would prevent him from having to like actually do the legwork. That was my point about Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson. I think one of them will be successful. I don't really care who it is. I want one of them, and I think the other one will be either phantom IL at the deadline, or it'll be something like that.
I'm just gonna tell you right now, it's most likely to be Kyle Gibson.
You think? Oh, to be successful?
No.
Oh, you think Lance Lynn's going to be the huge bounce back guy?
Yeah.
I have a much
Yeah.
easier time buying Kyle Gibson just has another 4.1 ERA season.
That is fair.
You know what I mean? Like the Lance Lynn thing is definitely a bigger gamble. The fact they got the same contract is honestly a little surprising to me.
Yeah.
We also have the Braves getting Ronaldo Lopez 3 for 30, and they're
I'm
going to
gonna
stretch him to
I'm
be a
gonna be
starter.
honest. I'm gonna be totally honest. At this point, after whoever's after Ronaldo Lopez, we don't have to go deep.
I think it's
Into
just
talk.
Aaron Nola, and that's it.
Why is Aaron Nola the last one?
He was the first like offseason, or okay, yeah,
Oh,
because
oh, oh! It's in
on
order
this,
of when they
yeah,
signed.
we've been
Okay,
going reverse order. The only other things we could possibly talk about after Ronaldo Lopez is Aaron Nola, the Aaron Bummer trade, and then Mark Canna to the Tigers, and that's it.
I don't think I'm talking about Aaron Bummer. Mark Canna.
We talked
Well,
about the
actually, Mark Canna a little bit.
we talked about the Tigers already though, so I think if we just do
Okay,
Ronaldo Lopez, we could just be done because I know it's probably about to start getting dark for you. You want to get out of here after this?
unless you want to do trivia, yeah.
Yeah, no,
After
we can do trivia. We can do trivia like sometime soon. We'll just do yeah. Anyway, all right. The last thing that we'll touch on, Ronaldo Lopez 3 for 30 to Atlanta with plans that they want him to prepare to be a starter. I don't know. This is the Braves, right? The Braves have sort of entered the same realm of Tampa and LA now. Dodgers, obviously, Angels playing Anaheim, where whenever they make a sort of move, I'm like, this will probably work out for them. This is probably smart. I think there are things to like with Ronaldo Lopez, especially honestly more as a bullpen guy. But if I kind of like the idea of like we are going to have you train in the offseason in case we need you to be a starter. I'm willing to bet that what ends up happening is he's going to be given the opportunity to earn a rotation spot. He'll fight for one in spring training. He'll be bulked up. Then they'll stick him in the pen. I think he's kind of the insurance option of, ooh, we had a guy, he got hit with a comebacker and he broke his thumb in his pitching hand. He's going to be out for a couple months. We need someone to make 8 starts for us and not be horrific. That's what I think Ronaldo Lopez, their insurance policy for that, with the primary plan being a bullpen piece.
whatever you just said just was cutting
Correct.
in and out, but
Oop.
um, I think are you?
No, I'm listening to you. You're good. You haven't frozen the whole time.
Okay, so I'm guessing yours is just gonna be perfectly fine on the other end. But
Yeah, let's hope so.
can you just like summarize what you said?
I said I think that they're telling him to prepare to be a starter in the offseason to give him the honest chance to compete for a rotation spot. But I think that the ultimate plan for him is they want him to be a bullpen piece that if, Charlie Morton got hit by a comebacker and he needs to miss a month. We need a guy to make 5 starts that won't be terrible without like burning a guy from AAA. Ronaldo Lopez can step into that because he will have spent the offseason bulking up and getting prepared for that.
So essentially, he's the guy that's going to be stretching to be like
I think so. I think that's what they want him to do because it's 3 for 30.
to do the Michael King essentially.
Yes, I think so. That's my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. It would be foolish for them to just throw him into the rotation, considering his past success in the rotation or lack of success, I should say. And the fact that he's turning to a really good bullpen arm, I'd rather just see him in the bullpen for the Atlanta Braves. But work him in as a starter, that's probably your best option at this point, unless you sign another guy that you can trust your starter or another starter. Um, but for now, just keep him in the bullpen, but have him ready just in case. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like that to me seems to be an emerging sort of role for guys. There seems to be a market for the SP 5.5 in a rotation seems to be like an emerging role in Major League Baseball of a guy that makes objectively close to like closer money or very low end starter money. And his job is like, you might be our setup man by September. You might be the number 4 guy in the rotation. It all depends on how our season goes and how lucky we are with health. So, I mean, I'm glad to see that there's a market for that and guys are getting paid to do that because, at the end of the day, more roles that require major league player autonomy and, more guys getting paid on pro. So That's where I kind of sit with that.
All right. So really quickly before we get off this, now that I think about it, let's just play rapid fire. Where are the rest of these free agents? And when I say rapid fire, I mean we're not gonna go too deep into this. So I have nothing on this paper. I'm just looking at a piece of paper to get the effect that I'm looking at a
Oh,
list
okay.
of.
All right. All right.
Anyway, easiest one, Otani.
Angels or Blue Jays. I don't think he's going to the Dodgers.
Uh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go deep in the back here and say Cubs.
End this call. He's not signing with the Cubs. I'm serious. He's not signing with the Cubs. The Cubs are signing Jung Ho Lee and Rhys Hoskins, and they're not signing Otani.
Which wouldn't be a bad offseason, but
No, it wouldn't be.
I'm just throwing out names. Speaking of which, I guess Jungo Lee,
Cubs.
Padres.
Ooh, okay.
I'll go with Padres. Just
I could see Mariners
one,
as well.
that too. It just feels like connection. Were they teammates? Connection with Kim, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That helps a little bit. Yeah, I'll say Padres. I'll say Padres. I'm going entirely out of order. Matt Chapman.
This is hard. Cubs.
Feels like Cubs too.
Yeah.
From the moment it was mentioned on that recording session, it felt like Cubs.
I'll put it this way. The rumor is that if the Cubs don't get Otani, they want to sign 3-star bats. And if anyone has listened to me all off season long before that report even came out, I have said the Cubs are going to sign Rhys Hoskins, Jung Ho Lee, and Matt Chapman. That's 3-star bats. So, don't question my ball knowledge. When they sign those 3 dudes, which are all good signings, they'll probably overpay for Chapman a little bit. But like the left side of that defense, that's a good defensive lineup you're putting out with that. But that's who I think that the Cubs are signing.
Now that I have a list of free agents up like a professional,
you can go Rhys Hoskins next because I Cubs. I mean, that's kind of already going to happen, but
sure, Rhys Hoskins.
I think Cubs as well. That's the 3 guys the Cubs sign.
I will agree and say Cubs as well, unless they have first baseman DH stuff that I don't know about, which they don't. Since you
unless they want to give Matt Mervis another significant look, which I don't think is happening. He's not good.
Okay, Bellinger, Cody Bellinger.
Yankees.
So you think they're going to, assuming this trade gets done?
Yes. Soto Bellinger, Judge opening day.
Wow. Okay. I would have said Bellinger if this was last week, but since everything seems to be trending that they are looking away from spending 200 million on Bellinger, I will say, because who is going to be a team that's crazy enough to sign him for that much money?
That's exactly who's got the pockets deep enough.
I'm gonna go. No, not. Let's just go extremely bold. Say that after what's been a really interesting offseason so far, let's just say Mariners.
Oh, you know who else I could see? I'll throw a dark horse out there. Houston Astros. I could see the Astros doing it.
I can see it.
Chaz Bellinger Tucker. You DH Jordan.
Yeah, sure. Blake Snell.
Man, this is tough. It's tough. This one is tough. I forgot he existed, man. Like he's hard. He's a hard guy to pin down to sign somewhere. Is he the guy that the Mariners get and then they trade a pitcher? Is he their big, But I don't know, not the Mariners. Blake Snell, I'll go. Who's got the money? Who's got the money? You know what? Let's give Baltimore some credit. I'll say he's on the Orioles.
That's who I was gonna say too, the Orioles.
That'd be big.
It,
I think that actually would make
if
a lot of sense.
it's the one that feels the most sense out of everyone on the well,
Like the
unless
other
they
thing is it's
really
like
get bold.
yeah, it's like Yankees or Red Sox or I don't want to just name big market teams because I think they're like I don't want to just name like who has money to spend. I think he's going to the Dodgers.
Uh, like real ones remember the Red Sox Blake Snell edit that was being sent every single day in the chat. Um, Jordan Montgomery.
Rangers. As much as it breaks my heart, the Texas Rangers wasted that fleece of a
Yeah, I'll
trade that
say
we
Rangers.
fleeced you for. Ugh, makes me sick that we
I
wasted that.
I I will also say Rangers. Yeah.
Yeah,
This next player is apparently narrowing his options down to two teams, Eduardo Rodriguez.
Tigers.
Essentially, we're just taking a stab at which of these two teams is he going to sign with
I
out of
think it's
30.
Tigers or I think it's Tigers or Red Sox, right, for him? Or Orioles. I could see
I
Orioles. The Orioles could get
I
Erod.
I didn't see any specific teams. I would
I'm
say
gonna
that
get
he signs with the Tigers.
yeah.
Or which
Hey,
ones?
Scooball, Rodriguez, Maeda, top three. Let's get real crazy with it. They sign Imanaga as well, and then they can trade like Matt Manning and stuff. Ooh, come on, fire me up. That would be a heck of a rotation, dude. Just a bunch
Scott
of
family
like,
love seeing this, by the way.
yeah, I was gonna say, Tigers fans just going like curling their toes at the thought of like of just a bunch of 3.5, 6 innings, 6 strikeout dudes.
um, Lucas Giolito.
I said Orioles earlier, and like Orioles, right?
You can say Orioles.
If
Uh,
if if the Orioles do not go after a big name at all, I think, or no, you know what? Pirates. I'll say Pirates for Lucas Giolito.
that's interesting. That's interesting. Because you're assuming the Pirates are a team that's gonna like look to take the next step.
They have lost 4 pitchers to Tommy John that were supposed to be in their rotation for 2024. They've already traded for Marco Gonzalez, and they feel like the prime team
Okay.
to go get a Giolito type on a prove it deal. Because if JT Brubaker is not better, but like he's cheaper. So if Giolito sucks for a year, oh well. If he's good, you can move him at the deadline, or if he wants to stay and they're playing winning baseball, you can extend him for hopefully a little bit of a discount.
I will say that he will be a Brave. And hear me out for one quick second.
Ooh, I'll hear
You
you
know,
on that. I'll hear
you
your
know,
argument on
you
that.
know, who recently signed with the Atlanta Braves?
Charlie Morton.
No, Ronaldo
Ronaldo Lopez. Oh, you mean really recent? Okay,
Lopez.
got you.
Ronaldo Nunez is a whole different person. Ronaldo Lopez. So, you know what Lopez's career trajectory has been?
We're not. Oh, you're playing bromance with me. Oh, I thought here I was taking it fully seriously, being like, oh, that could be a very Braves kind of move. Yeah, I could see that. You mother. All right, fine, sure, yeah, sure. All right,
No,
for the
no, but
meme, yeah,
no.
sure.
People talk about the last season, what happened, but you don't realize that they were also in the same trade for Adam Eaton.
Yeah, they've been together the whole. Yeah.
So,
I don't hate that. Let's.
um,
Who
it
else
al-
you got? What other names you got for me?
it also does feel like a guy that they'll sign. A guy that hasn't been talked about a lot, Heimer Candelario.
He should sign with the Mariners, but
The Mariners. Okay.
yeah. I mean, they're a team that is playing winning baseball, or at least they have been in the past, and I would like to think they're still committed to doing it. And they have a hole at third base right now. And he's cheaper than Matt Chapman.
That's entirely fair. You know what? Let me just throw it out there. Yankees. He'll be a Yankee.
All right.
And
Okay. I don't hate that.
And the only reason I say that is, the only reason I hesitate to say that is because Brian Cashman came out today and said that DJ LeMahieu was third baseman, but this is also the same person that said that Bubba Crosby was going to be the starting center fielder back in 2005. That's how long he's been in this position. Jesus Christ. Anyway, two more names. We talked about so I'm not going to mention him. Marcus Stroman.
Ooh, Giants.
That's very interesting. He will be a New York. No, kidding.
I will bet a lot of money that he is not signing for either New York team.
But I was about to say the Mets. Not even thinking about the Yankees.
Yeah.
Let's see. He will sign with. Does he resign with the? Yeah, let's just say he will resign with the.
I don't know, man. I mean, because they could have just picked up like the option and stuff was for like a pretty decent amount of money too.
Wasn't it his option?
That's what I'm saying. He turned down 21 mil next year to play for them. And I'm like, I mean, maybe you know what it is. I bet you he just wants like a 3-year, like 45 mil deal. Like he'll take less money for more like job security.
Actually, no, I take that back. They were interested in the deadline. It just feels like a good fit, the Arizona Diamondbacks. And if not the Arizona Diamondbacks,
I have a different answer.
The Arizona Diamondbacks, then the Toronto Blue Jays.
I have a different answer. Nah, Blue Jays, I don't think are moving anybody. Their rotation's pretty set, no? Gossman, Barrios, Kikuchi, Ryu, like they got. I don't, and then I don't want to move on from Manoah already. I mean, he was bad, but like he has no value. There's no reason to trade him.
Whatever you just said, it broke up really badly.
Oh, don't the Blue Jays have their rotation kind of figured out, or am I tweaking?
I don't know. It feels like he would be the one that wants to return to Toronto.
That is fair. Kevin Gossman, Jose Barrios, Chris Bassett, Yusei Kikuchi, Alek Manoah is their current rotation.
What happened to Ryu? Is Ryu
free agent? Probably.
Let's check right now. Yeah,
probably got his option declined. Yeah, but anyway, point being is like,
but it also does feel like they're moving on from Alex.
They could. So, I have a different answer for the D-backs. I'm just curious who the next guy. You said there's a couple more names. Who else? Who's the other guy?
The last guy I was going to mention was Yamamoto, but if there's no guy that you think...
There's a couple more starting pitchers I want to do predictions for other than Yamamoto. I think Yamamoto...
Is it someone named Michael Wacha?
No. Okay, we can add him to the list too. I had Michael Wacha, Jack Flaherty, and Frankie Montas as well.
Which one did you think was going to go to the Diamondbacks?
I think Montas was going to go to the D-backs.
Okay, that's interesting.
Where do you think Montas will go?
Always have been interested.
Mm-hmm.
Yankees are very interested. It does feel like the Orioles. No, the Orioles won't get it. It depends on if the Yankees say, here's $10 million to prove it to us, or if they say no and the Orioles sign for $8 million. So one of those two teams.
I think Jack Flaherty.
Jack Flaherty. I have no idea. I'm gonna
Chicago White Sox.
I have no idea.
Chicago White Sox is my prediction.
Are we good now?
You froze?
I don't think
you're still frozen? I can hear you. There you go. Now you're back. Did you hear me say Jack Flaherty to the White Sox? That's my prediction.
I heard Jack to the. That's all I heard.
Yeah, Jack Flaherty to the White Sox. is my prediction.
Oh,
On like a 1-year prove it deal, playing a big market.
okay.
Hopefully,
I'll just yeah. Yeah,
Yamamoto. Um, Giants. I think the Giants. I don't think he will sign for the Mets.
I think there's a very decent chance he'll sign with the Mets.
I think so too, but it's just like the Giants.
Let me clarify. I think there's a very good chance he will be a New York something,
I do not
a
think
New
he's
York
going to
Cosmo.
the a New York Red Bull. He's taking his talents to the beautiful game. Um,
New York
I
City
don't know.
Football Club.
He's playing for the Knicks. I want to hear Stephen A. rant about Yamamoto twice a week on his show, not First Take. Um, Listen, I so badly want Yamamoto on the Cardinals, like so badly. It just, I don't know. There's been instances before in which the Cardinals front office has been very coy about acquiring a big player, and you shouldn't linger on that. But the Cardinals have done a lot of work specifically with the team he was posted from. They have a really good working relationship with the team he was signed for. And it's like there's the groundwork of, he said he wants to play with Japanese players and like feel like that sense of like comfort. And it's like, well, a guy that you're really close personal friends with is a very prominent player on our team. And not even just that, you guys are family friends. Like, and the fit is right. What he wants is right. The real question is just like, I've always pushed back. This is my only soapbox, so we'll do a quick hitter. The only thing I'll ever talk about is we live in an age in which I think playing in an air quote big market isn't really real anymore. Like, yes, there's like television audiences and things like that, but the internet exists. We live in an instantaneous world. You and I are having this conversation right now, and we live thousands of miles away. So, when I hear that, oh, he'd prefer to play for a big market, I'm like, does he really care that much about it? If he just wants to live in LA or he wants to live in New York City, there's nothing I can do. But like, is it he wants to live in a big market, or does he want to live in a city like that? I don't think he cares about the economics of it. It's just, does he care where he lives, or does he care about the team he plays for? Or is it what balance of it is both? And I think the more that it balances of who I'm playing with and the uniform I'm putting on, that does help the Cardinals. Odds we sign him at my confidence level, 15%. So not high. But I would say high, it's not zero.
Would it shock me? No. Honestly,
It would not shock me. Okay, here's the thing. I will dance like prison reform has been achieved. Like, I will dance as though I've had it's the lights cutting off after I said that is so funny. Like, they're like, nope, shut him off. Shut him down. I will dance like a woman has said yes to marrying me. I will dance like my first child is being born. That's how happy I will be. So I don't know. That's all I'll say on that.
So that one shocked me, but when you hear that, it's essentially pushing 300 million. His bidding. When you hear that, that makes you believe Dodgers. It makes you believe Mets. It makes you believe, well, the team before.
Giants.
Makes you believe Giants, who have been looking for a star since last year.
Since Arson Judge, I believe is the gentleman's name.
Year anniversary, by the way. And based on the way that they've been talking about him, it makes you think Yankees. It makes you think those four teams when you hear $300 million.
Yeah, when I look at when we talk about payroll, right? The card, Mozeliak says by the trade deadline in 2024, or excuse me, by opening day, we expect to have a payroll similar to what we were projecting to have at the trade deadline had they been winning. And when you factor all that stuff in what he was talking about, he's talking about that magic number is 200 mil. And when I look at the Cardinals payroll right now on SpotRec, I see 157 mil. I see $43 million before we hit that magic number.
It does also make me think the Cubs, by the way.
Yeah, we don't need to even entertain that thought, though. We don't need to entertain that idea. That's a sick, disgusting thing to wish on anyone, and we don't need to think that way. Point being, yeah, their Cubs are in a similar payroll spot, but that's before they sign Rhys Hoskins, Jung Ho Lee, and Matt Chapman. So they'll be at about 200 mil before they would have to sign Yamamoto. For reference, the Cardinals are in a position at 157 mil. We can pay him $30 million a year for 10 years, and our payroll going into the year would be 7th in baseball. Excuse me, sorry. The Cubs are at 172 right now. If they sign Yamamoto, they can't sign anybody else without risking like luxury tax conversation. I mean, like they can do it, but I don't think they will. Point being, Cardinals at 157. I'm like, you can add 30 mil onto that. And
again, wouldn't shock me.
Wouldn't shock me either.
It does just feel like big market is.
Right. And that's the conversation. And I'm like, brother, just, hang out. You guys can do like an odd couple situation with Lars. You guys can live together in a little loft in downtown St. Louis. You guys can invite me to hang out. These are all very realistic things that will happen, by the way. The guy with the $300 million contract is for sure having a roommate and for sure inviting me to hang out, despite the fact that I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, I do not speak fluent Japanese. Yeah, that's correct. I do not. Whatever. I think he's going to the Giants, though. Like it's a great park to pitch in, and they want stars. Yamamoto Giants is my honest prediction. It's a nice park to pitch in. It's a big market, and he's the star there. He's not competing. Like, if they were named the San Francisco Warriors, he'd have to like compete with Steph, but he doesn't. So they don't, though. Like people like forget that they also play in San Francisco.
Yeah, it just. It just feels like he'll be in New York. I don't know why. It just really.
That's fair. That's fair. We all have wishful thinking right now. Well, you don't want him on the Mets. No one wants him on the Mets. Do you know how awful it'd be to watch them?
I care about that rivalry much less than you might think.
No, I'm saying I'm saying as a baseball fan, watching him just
and when I say not care, I mean like I don't really have vitriol towards it. So
no, Peyton, I'm saying as a baseball fan, if they piss away Yamamoto Senga as a 1-2 punch on a 78-win roster and Lindor, I'll be furious. I'll be pissed. Like, you are just pissing away guys I love watching play baseball. Lindor did not make the all-star team this year. That dude went 30-30 with elite defense. But because the Mets are so incompetent, they're such incompetent shitheads. Oh, don't get me started.
This is the most passionate I've ever heard you for anything that's not Cardinals related.
The Mets infuriate me because all they do is they get gifted from Christ, like this big market. So they get to be in on every free agent for no reason. They're a loser franchise that's accomplished nothing, but they get to sign all these big money free agents. And then what happens? Either they're dog shit individually on their team or they're bad as a team. Like they're ass. They are a bad organization. It's poorly run. They can't scout. Like it's awful. It's awful to watch. It's like watching a 12-year-old play MLB The Show with like forced trades turned on. That is what watching the Mets feels like. Like, how do they just keep getting guys? And yet they still blow every year. Every year.
Well, they were dealing with the Wilpons for years, so it's baby steps. Baby steps, Carson.
But yeah.
Can you outro this for us?
Yes. If you guys have enjoyed listening to Peyton and I yammer on, I need you guys to do a couple things for me. First, tell him how handsome he looks. Normally we say that at the beginning, but we say that at the end as well. And secondly, feel free to follow us. You can follow us here Where is here? You might be watching this on Instagram. You might be watching this on TikTok. You might be watching this on Twitter. It doesn't matter what
You
platform
might
it
be
is.
watching on Daily Motion.
You might be watching this on LinkedIn for all I care. In that case, I'm looking for work. Whatever platform you're watching it on, give us a follow. You can follow us. Like I said, go to our website, read all of our articles, go to buy all of our merch. You can follow myself. You can follow Peyton. Follow us on, like I said, Facebook, Instagram. We don't have Facebook. Delete that. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn. Go to our website. All the links will be somewhere in our bio.
We also definitely do have a Facebook, by the way.
We do.
Matter of fact, what am I doing? Hold on a minute. You can keep talking.
But yeah, feel free to follow us on whatever platforms suit your fancy. We'd love it if it was all of them, but if it's just your one favorite, that works just as fine for me. So thank you guys very, very much. It's gotten significantly darker in here. Yeah, thank you.